This is the worst Christmas movie I've ever looked at. No joke. Like, no sarcasm in this. This is the worst Christmas movie I think I've ever seen. And I've seen Surviving Christmas. I've seen Christmas Story 2. So why am I reviewing it? I mean, everyone else has reviewed it. I'll tell you why. Because if this was just a bad movie that I didn't care about, I wouldn't have talked about it. But I am so passionate in how I hate this movie, so let's go over the atrocity that is Home Alone 4, Taking Back the House. Let me tell you my history with the Home Alone series. When I was young, I rented the original Home Alone after hearing such great things, and a Christmas classic it truly is. It's seriously up there with Christmas Story as one of my favorite Christmas movies. The comedy is gold, the acting is great, it has the ultimate John Hughes charm that he eventually started milking as his career went on, but regardless, Home Alone 1 is still a damn good movie. After I saw the first one, I decided to rent parts 2, 3, and 4 to check them out. Part 2, Lost in New York, while not as good as the first one, is easily the second best in the franchise. It has the same people working on it, it has the same kind of charm that the first one did, and despite people saying it's the worst movie ever because of a stupid 1-second cameo, it's actually not that bad a movie. As for Part 3, it's nowhere near as good as the first two. It doesn't have the same people working on it, and it feels a lot sappier than the first two were. But believe me, even as a kid, I thought Part 3 was on par with the first two in comparison to this thing. Let's just get it over with. This is Home Alone 4. So let's dissect what's wrong with this opening sequence. One, that's not the Home Alone music. Two, they go through the door instead of the open window. And three, this movie takes place in Chicago, and yet there's not a single flake of snow to be seen.
Do you think we'll have a white Christmas?
It's highly unlikely, given the recent unseasonable temperatures.
Oh, unseasonal weather. Yeah, still not convinced. So we see what are supposed to be the McAllisters. Despite the fact that the house outside looks nothing like the McAllister house, none of the extended family are here, and none of these people look like the originals. Anyway, Kate goes to check on Kevin, who's watching videotapes of some previous Christmases.
I know you miss your dad.
And he loves me very much. You both do, and it has nothing to do with me.
Did he tell you that?
I'm 9 years old. Watch a lot of TV.
Wait. He's 9?
I'm 9 years old.
But he was 8 in the first movie, and he was 10 in the second one, so... Is this like a midquel or something? Or... No, they probably just got their continuity wrong. Also, yes, you did hear that right. The parents got divorced, apparently.
Sometimes, when people are married for a long time, they get into kind of a rut.
Again, continuity? What's that? Their dad, Peter, then shows up and says that he's spending Christmas with a woman he's been seeing for a while called Natalie. He asks his kids if they'd like to spend Christmas with them, but none of them are interested.
I won't be back too late, and since you're staying home, it wouldn't hurt to do some of your chores. Yes, ma'am.
I'll make sure they get done.
Oh my god, the editing was below amateur! Even as a kid, I thought this editing looked bad. This is the editing you see on early 2000s Windows Movie Maker. Straight to DVD or theatrical, you should never use those transitions for a movie. And while you're at it, you might as well just use Comic Sans for your credit text.
Mommy, I know he picks on you.
Picks on me, humiliates me, tortures me. I'm sick of being everyone's favorite joke around here.
So Kevin has had enough, and he uses nickels and dimes to hitch a cab to Natalie's house. Yeah, seriously.
Oh, what an incredible evening.
And not a bad night's work. We raised over $2 million for those children's charities.
She has a lot of money, she can afford a mansion and a chauffeured limo, but she raises money through charity. There's a Joel Osteen joke in there somewhere. As Kevin arrives, he's greeted by the butler named Prescott. Yeah, they keep doing this thing throughout the movie where every time Prescott's on screen they have this sinister music to try and build him up as some kind of mysterious bad guy. Movie, he's not threatening, so please stop doing that.
What kind of key is this?
It's a key to the whole house.
This is a smart house, Kevin. It does whatever you tell it to. Fire out.
So while Kevin and Natalie are getting acquainted, outside we see what looks like Harry and some woman named Vera planning a heist in the Wet Bandit van.
Nice house, huh, Pumpkin?
Sure is, Marv.
Wait, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's supposed to be Marv?
Sure is, Marv.
Are you serious? You got a guy who looks more like Joe Pesci and you cast him as Daniel Stern's character? Well, they actually said they did want to get Daniel Stern to reprise his role, but he said he wouldn't because, in his own words, it would be insulting to the franchise. And yet he was in Christmas Story 2, but we're not going to talk about that here.
Kevin. How many times can I lose this child?
Yet still better parenting than Daddy-O-5. God, that happened months ago and I feel old for referencing that. So Peter and Natalie step out for the morning, leaving Kevin alone in a big, remote-controlled, voice-automated house with Prescott and the maid Molly.
Wow, I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't.
No, it can't be. It is! It's Marv!
Kevin then uses the walk-in shower against Marv and Vera, don't ask, and it ends up flooding the house. Again, don't ask.
You!
Hello, Marv.
What? Long time no see, huh, kid?
Is that the prince?
No, that's Kevin. Kevin, Vera, Vera, Kevin.
Well, that ain't him. Let's get out of here before somebody sees us.
Yeah, I think we got the lay of the land. I'll be back!
Why are they running away? He's completely defenseless. You think Marv would want to get some revenge after the last few times he's seen Kevin. So Kevin just lets them run away as Peter and Natalie conveniently show up as soon as they're gone, shocked as all get out. So, how does a father punish his child after flooding a mansion?
Something to say?
Thank you.
And?
I'm sorry for the damage of your house.
Yep, a simple sorry. And then they decorate the Christmas tree together, set to really bad 2000s pop music.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
The next day, their specially decorated Christmas tree has been replaced with a commercially decorated one. For compensation, Natalie lets Kevin open a gift, which happens to be spy gear. Oh, I wonder if that's going to come into play later. Kate, Megan, and Buzz then show up to see Kevin and drop off some belongings. Oh man, I wonder if Peter and Kate are going to get back together at the end.
No.
No.
This is Teddy.
Teddy is this transitional object.
Transitional object. But it's like something very, very special. Child carries with him everywhere. You're supposed to have a spare in case something happens to it.
Yeah, I'm just going to add that this teddy bear thing was in none of the previous Home Alone movies, so just like every other thing in this movie, this is a complete ass pull. Later that night, Natalie is hosting a big fancy party in honor of the royal family of Who Caresistan, and Marv and Vera disguise themselves as caterers so that they can kidnap the prince and hold him for ransom. Okay, everything else in this movie was crap, but who knows, maybe the slapstick's actually funny.
Door open.
Yep, nope, it's like everything else in this movie, just one big fat disappointment. Kevin ends up ruining the party and making a complete ass of himself, while Marv and Vera escaped empty-handed. After they finally ground him, Natalie goes to have a talk with Kevin.
Because if you ever do anything like that again, you'll be out of this house so fast your head will spin. Say your father's getting divorced. Boo-hoo. Everyone's parents get divorced. That's life. You'll get over it. But you're not going to come between your father and me. He wants you in his life, and I think that's admirable. But if you want him in your life, you better not cross me. Understood?
Wow. What a total bitch. The next day, Kevin decides to take matters into his own hands and set up some lame-ass traps. Come on, the traps in the first few movies were brilliantly assembled. Here, they're as lazy as, well, the movie's production. As Peter and Natalie go to pick up the royal family, Kevin then locks Prescott in the wine cellar, thinking that he's in cahoots with Marv and Vera.
Is this a perfect plan or what?
It would be, dear, except for one thing. Prescott is not their accomplice. I am.
You're the inside man?
I'm afraid so.
Hey, Mom. We're here.
My carrying level just increased from a 3 to a 3.1! Holy shit!
So Kevin and Prescott are locked in the wine cellar, and this is the closest the movie has to actually having heart.
Why didn't you answer the intercom? Why did you shut off the cameras?
I didn't. But if those thugs were using Molly's remote, they could have turned off the whole security system.
But why'd you say I was lying?
Oh, because I thought you were. Besides, I didn't want Miss Natalie to know that I'd been, napping on the job.
They managed to get Kevin out by using the dumbwaiter, and then hilarious antics ensue.
You better stay. Ow! Shut up, you bag.
Door open!
It eventually ends with Marvin Vera getting flung onto a chandelier and then falling.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Good night.
Don't question how they were able to escape the elevator and the wine cellar. The movie's almost over. The McAllisters, Peter, Natalie, and the royal family then show up as soon as the police take the crooks away. Prescott resigns, Peter decides he wants to be back with his family again, who saw that coming. The royal family decide they're going to spend Christmas with the McAllisters, and Kevin makes it snow. Who cares? The movie's over. Wow. Just wow. This is the Home Alone franchise's Christmas Story 2. Words cannot describe what watching this movie was like. The acting sucks, the production is below cheap, it fails even worse than any of the other Home Alone sequels did. But the worst thing about this movie, even worse than the production, is how cookie-cutter the whole thing is. This movie comes off so flat, so bland, it feels more like a rip-off of Home Alone, not an actual sequel. I am done with this movie, we are not talking about it anymore, this movie sucks, I hate it, screw it, it can go to hell, we're done. We're done with Home Alone 4. Tune in next time when I talk about something that's actually good. Until then, I'm the Media Wiz, because 1 Art Form wasn't enough. God, that movie sucked!